much in order to spare to others whose fathers have not exercised equal industry and skill is to violate arbitrarily the first principle of association, the guarantee to everyone of a free exercise of his industry and the fruits acquired by it. So he's going back to the same thing, the natural right. If you produce something, it's yours, you're free to exchange it, you are free to give it away, you're free to do whatever you like with it as long as you don't hit someone over the head with it, whatever it is. You cannot commit aggression against somebody. And so really the purpose of government is to enforce this non-aggression principle. And the non-aggression principle is liberty. And I would say that what we have to, our biggest challenge, I think, somebody was talking also about the educational system. Was that you too, John? Generations and generations talking about things? You? Or that? Yeah, you. Okay. So what did they learn? One thing they have learned, and one of the reasons I wrote the book, Chapter 1, there's an introduction, and Chapter 1's called What is Freedom? And I was very serious when I wrote that because I've got a lot of friends much smarter than me, engineers, doctors, and I asked that question to 15 or 20 people that I really respect, that very rightfully so are more successful than I am, and nobody could answer it. They would sit in their chair and shift around a little bit. And, I guess I can't give you a definition. Do you think it's, do you believe in freedom? Yeah, start with, do you believe in freedom? Yes, I do. Who doesn't believe in freedom? What is it? What do you mean, what is it? What is it? So, our mission, I think, Campaign for Liberty, is beyond teaching them political action. It's really to teach them the natural law, is my argument. Teach them the natural law. Yeah. Teach them what freedom is. Tell them freedom has a definition. It has a very definite definition, and all things other than that are not freedom. That doesn't mean there's nothing good in the world besides freedom, but if you say you believe in freedom, you have to know what it is. And this is what it is. At least this is what it was when our country was founded and they wrote the word liberty on those documents. This is what they meant. Do you believe in it? You do. Then, once we agree on that, how does it apply to all these different things? How does it apply to healthcare? Why is healthcare proposals for healthcare wrong? Because it gives people, access to healthcare? Obviously, no. The reason is because it violates the non-aggression principle. It brings the force of government to bear against those who pay for it, and those even who get forced into a program they don't want to be provided with. So that's why it's wrong, and that it goes right back to a very simple idea. Why was the government bailout of the auto industry wrong? Because those people I heard all these arguments on TV, especially by the Republicans, and they're saying, well, in a free market you get more cars and higher quality, and that's all great. That's not why the government shouldn't be doing it. The reason the government shouldn't be doing it is because it violates people's rights. It violates the rights of the people you took the money from to give it to the auto company. And even if you were going to get more jobs or better cars by doing it, it still would be wrong, despite the fact that you won't. The freedom works, and I think, if I would say there's a flaw, whoever's out is always saying the right things. As much as I don't like their ideology, the Democratic Party was saying the right things when George Bush was in about the war. Non-aggression, again, it was the same thing. There was no state of war that existed between the United States and Iraq. That's why we shouldn't have gone. Well, right now, it's the same thing. But the Republicans argue a lot of economic theory. Even Peter Schiff, I think, is great, because nobody does it better. But he never says, but the bottom line is, you can't do it. The arguments come back to him, yeah, Peter, but they had no choice. No, they had no choice to violate people's rights. If the purpose of government is to secure our rights, they never have a choice to violate them. That could never be the choice, even if the results would be better. So that, and I would say, I would close with to say that I think our message has to be simple. We have to, even though I'm probably way more hot air than will keep anyone interested on a street corner, but we have to educate people on what is the law of nature, what's the natural law. As far as the Constitution goes, how the Constitution allows us to enforce the natural law and the non-aggression principle. And I do mean enforce, because there is a time for force. And the only time for force is when you're attacked, whether it's your life, your liberty, or property. You have the right to use force against people and to make them stop, to defend yourself. And that is the only thing that you can delegate to government. There is no other authority granted to any of us other than to defend our rights against aggression. And so, since none of us have that authority individually, we can delegate no more to government. So, if we all have equal rights, then our argument against every one of these programs is because it violates our rights. And I would say that if we had people saying that, it's a pretty hard argument to overcome. I mean, you can go out and argue Keynesian economics and say, the circular flow of income. I remember the first day I saw that in school, and I'm like, I'm no, professor, but that doesn't look right to me, and it's not. It's gibberish, okay? But you can get somebody up there on television who, sounds pretty good, and they can spout off a lot of big names and maybe recite a lot of theory and convince people that, maybe there's something to this. The government spends more money and we all stay employed. It's an argument that can be made. You can't argue against they took money away from me, I had no choice, and they gave it to this auto company. That violated my rights. What argument is there to that? And I think that's where, I guess that's why I'd like to say to everybody, get in tune with the natural law. If you can only afford to read one book as far as time is concerned, read Locke, read our Declaration, understand that one was taken directly from the other, and make your argument based on our natural rights that precede government, and never get off it. Never let them get you off it. Yeah, but they don't have enough. No. Natural rights, and I think that's probably the most effective way.
Where do they come from? Natural rights?
Well, and they come from our Creator, and and this is one other thing that I would say. I'm not an atheist, but a lot of conservative Christian people alienate atheists, or even people who just don't like to hear religion brought into politics. And I always say, look, our founders said that they were self-evident.
Laws of nature, nature's God.
Yeah, but they also said they were self-evident.
How can truth be self-evident?
Well, I'm just saying, this is what the Declaration says.
I understand that.
So my point is, I believe they came from our Creator. If you don't believe there's a Creator, at least we both agree they're self-evident. You can believe they came from wherever you want. And you're welcome. Come on and let's vote these idiots out with me.
Well, see, you got a springboard. We got two springboards that we're going with here. This is that if they're self-evident, and then truth can be divorced from God because it's in and of itself. See, and so then you have a springboard moving into a man-centered philosophy, and then you can have a springboard moving into a religiously centered philosophy. And you see that the country was, because you're going to end up with some possibly inherent problems, because there was plenty of opposing thought to, let's say, Locke and the Declaration, where it has also been stated that the Constitution actually changed the Declaration of Independence and stopped some of its movement.
Right.
Okay, and I know the school of thought a little bit that was in that direction.
And I don't totally disagree. The Constitution, may have granted too much.
I'm saying it changed the Declaration down because the Declaration was moving in a humanistic direction, saying that truth was self-evident as in opposition to a Christian worldview.
Right.
And so, you have these...
James Wilson said that the two